Showed you, I don't know if I did it. I don't know if I posted it or not, but I had this laying face up with the meter on it, wherever the hell I put the meter. Oh, there it is. And it was generating power just with this light up here. If I went over it, it dropped down to like 8.5 volts. If I moved away from it, it went up to 10, 12 volts. If I put my hand on it, it went back down to like 8 volts. So it does start to generate. It doesn't need a lot to generate. Just that the more it has, the more it'll generate. Now this, I may take you out and show you what I did to the generator. I did a video on it some time ago. Um, but again, I don't know. You know what? While I'm here, I also want to make one of these. So let me keep this out. Let me keep the glue out. Let me just move this over here for now. And then we'll get back to this. Give it a chance to set up and dry and cure. Keep it face down. Face down. Face down. Okay, wait a minute. Now I gotta figure out what the hell I did with them. I think I came over here. I was actually looking for the 3-volt battery holder, but I couldn't find them. I need more light. Hold on a minute. There. Okay, that screwdriver doesn't want to work. Let's try this one. I've been on this side for some time now. Why am I working on this side that much? Well, I'll tell you why. You want to know why? You really want to know why? There it is. Because there's a lot of things over here that I haven't finished yet. And I wanted to get them done. And when I go to the other side, I start working on things over there. And what happened was, this side started piling up. Because I was spending too much time on the other side, and I kept saying, well, I'll get to this, I'll get to this. And I wasn't getting to it. I go over there, I start working on the electrical bench, and next thing you know, this side just keeps piling up. Now the alarm that I made, if you remember right, this is going to get soldered on there, so keep that out. Get rid of these. Okay. The alarm piece I made is still over there. The carburetors are over there for the weed whacker. I got to put the globe on it, the primer ball. I have to get a primer ball for them. What else is over there? Oh, there's a handicap bar over there that I want to put into the shower for the bathroom for the wife. She doesn't need it. She's doing quite well actually. She's not using the cane anymore. She's doing really really good. I'm surprised. 6 weeks and it's like she never had any problems. So put that there. But I still want to have a little bit of a handicap bar in the bathroom, just to have it there. Doesn't hurt. It's going to be the same color as the bathroom, you know, the off-white or whatever. About 3 or 4 months before the surgery, she started to get a little bit worse. So I put up a long, 1 1/4, about 1 1/4 inch long stainless steel bar next to the toilet. So that was there if she needed it. But you got to look at it this way too. We're getting older. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to wait until you need it, and then you can't do it. Then you got to hire somebody to come in and do it. So do it while you can. At one time, when I was in the middle of, we were in the middle of buying the house. The only reason why we actually ended up buying it is because it was the original owner who had built it. The structure on this house is fantastic compared to the new ones out there. Everything is true cut. There's no 1.5 by 3.5 studs. Everything is 2 by 4 or 2 by 6, or whatever, 2 by 8s, 10s. Everything is true. Everything is 16 on center. I mean, when he built the house, the lumber was free to him. It was a wedding gift. So, putting nothing but the best in there. I mean, even here, I may have showed you the studs around here, but everything in here is also the same thing. So, but and then the house itself, the sheathing on the house, it's all tongue and groove. It's not just plywood or particle board put up. All right, I gotta find a drill this size. The only thing that's wrong with this house is, hold on a minute here, guys. There it is. And it's not even the size, because, why do I keep, because, the size is perfect for the wife and I. We were going to put a dormer on it at one time. Hold on, I gotta plug it. At one time, we were going to put a dormer up in the top because the attic is a walk-in attic. I can walk around up there. It's got a floor and everything. And I've probably got about 6 feet from center that I can walk off before I have to worry about my head getting whacked or bumping it. But we were going to add a dormer. And in the basement, it isn't finished, but it's finished, if you know what I mean. All the outer walls, it's got windows, it's got electricity, it's all wired in, and I mean, it's basically all I need to do is put up a few walls and it's finished. So we were going to do that as well, but then we're thinking, wait a minute, why are we going to add another 1,800 square feet to the house? We don't need it. There's only the two of us. Right? The more we have, the more we have to maintain. Now, the only thing that's wrong with the house that I don't like is that when they built the bathroom, the door is only like a 24-inch door going into the bathroom, where he could have made it bigger. Now, I don't know the size of the door, to be honest with you. I'm just taking an educated guess. Nah, it's probably bigger than that. I don't know though. Maybe if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking maybe 28. It's bigger than a 24. However, though, I was talking to the wife. I said, you know, this is when we first bought it, before we started remodeling everything. I said, why don't we just open up all the doors and make them bigger? Make them wheelchair accessible. Why? You know, well, back then I was like, well, okay, you know, because, you know, we're going back 15 years ago. But why? Well, the why now is, what happens? Now that she had her hip surgery, it made me think a little bit more. What would happen if, in fact, one of us did end up in a wheelchair? We're not going to be able to get around the house. And it's something that you don't want to think about, but it's something that can happen. I'm trying to decide where I want to put this and how I want to put this. And this is not the one I want to use. I think this is the one I'm going to use because this is not working anyway. And yes. Let me get solder iron for a minute. I never did, but I'm kind of sorry I didn't. Just because, you know, it would have been done and there if I needed it. You know, or if we needed it. Plus, if we were to sell the house, it would also sell the house because that's something that somebody wouldn't think of until you brought it up. So now, when they're looking for homes, they're going to start looking at that, thinking about that at the same time. You just added something to them to think about. And what you added was basically your house is the only one with it, because not everybody's thinking of that. You know, they think about putting a ramp outside the door, but what about inside? Now, I don't need a ramp outside the door, and I'm not looking to get into a wheelchair by no means. Now, I did have some solder wick. I don't remember how I did with it. Hold on. I don't have a solder sucker, but I got solder wick. What does solder wick do, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's braided. Are we still recording? Yeah, I guess so. It's braided, if you can see that. And you heat it up with the solder, and it pulls the solder off the board and out of wherever it is that it's soldering onto the wick. So you're basically removing the solder. Solder suckers are, well, I've used a couple, so it's hard to say. I've used them where they were great. And then I used other ones that wore the name, however, they weren't what they were supposed to be. When I say wore the name or they wear the name, you look at something that used to be good, for instance. Well, let's just say a name in general. Let's just take it as a name. Let's just say there's a well-known person in your town, and everybody likes this person. Well, the next thing you know, another person moves into town that's related to this person and has the same name, but is nowhere like the other person. So, even though this person has got the same name, he's different. He's not well liked. You know, you kind of know where I'm going here. So, he's wearing the name. You know, he's using the name and the goodness of his relative to get where he wants to go. You know, he's riding on the back. So when I say it wears the name, you know, the same with the solder wick and the solder sucker. You can have a good brand solder sucker, and then you can have another one out there that isn't. Well, it's still called the solder sucker, so it's wearing the name of that good solder sucker, but by no means is it as good. I think I got my point across on that. See how my mind drifts? My mind goes all the time. I'm actually thinking about going to the doctor and slow it down a little bit. I tire myself out. And I blame that on my old habits and work-related jobs. Well, I can say one thing is when they put this in here, they did a nice job on soldering it. The unit sucks, but they did a nice job on soldering it. Oh, I got the antenna up too, by the way, the TV antenna. Ryan from Big John Deere, I think. Had asked me, I was doing the wiring, the video on the wiring. He had asked me on the comments if I did any videos on the antenna. And I did. And I told him I did. But I may have already mentioned it. I did a video. I did 2 days worth of videos with no audio. And one of them was the antenna, because I made a couple of modifications to it. And then I sent a comment or a text, not a text, but a comment, I guess, or whatever, to Danny, which is the guy that made the antenna from down south, that he may want to look into that, because it could, down the line, cause him some problems. And when you're in business, you really don't want to have problems. Even if you're taking care of the problem, you know, it's going to cost you money. So, and you may get a customer that says, screw him, you know, I bought an antenna and I had problems with it, you know. So You want to eliminate those problems. Now with that comes another story. My grandfather owned a painting contracting company. He owned a company. He was a painter. And I told you I picked up a lot of my habits from him, because back then a painter, to him, a painter was a painter. If he was alive today, and I'm not knocking the painters today, but if he was alive today and he was hiring painters, and one of these guys that are painters today came out to get a job, they would not know what to do, nor would he hire them. He'd probably say, "No, I'm looking for a painter." Because painters today are really not painters per se. Paint today will go on a wall and look good if you threw it on a wall. Naturally, if you take a little bit more time and brush it out a little bit, it will look better. I mean, I kind of over-exaggerated on that, but for the most part, what I'm saying is you really don't need to know what you're doing to paint something nowadays with the paint that's out there. And this solder tip is in need of a new one. I am not even going to waste my time dealing with it. I wonder, I doubt this, but we'll try it. Oh no, I didn't want to take that off. I want to get that off, but I want to get it off without wrecking the piece, because there's an insulator in there. There we go. Okay. Let me go throw this in the water real quick and cool it off. I don't want to melt the insulator. Alright. Well, this I can use. Yeah, that's hollow, which means this one's hollow. I'll also take that one off too. There. This board is totally useless. Let's make sure it's not hot before I throw it into the trash can. Start a fire. There. Oh, painting. And how I get back to the antenna. My grandfather always said, make sure the job is done and done right before you leave it. Because if he has to go back to fix something, it's going to cost him more money. Which means he's got to take one of his guys, either take him over there or send him over there with a ladder or whatever materials he needs. So we're talking drive time plus fix time. It could have been something where just it was a brush mark that they left a holiday or something. You know, I mean, it could have been something stupid. But regardless of how small it was, you're still looking at a couple hours of time that's coming out of his profit. And the customer being aggravated at that point. Some customers would say, "Oh, thank you for coming out and taking care of it as fast as you did, blah, 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 blah." Other customers, you shouldn't have left it like that to start with. What kind of painter are you? And that would have really driven my grandfather crazy. So, but where I'm going now, back to the antenna. You send an antenna out, and it comes back to you because of something stupid. Well, that customer may be pissed off now. Well, don't bother. If he couldn't see that, I don't want it. Or, geez, I appreciate it. But meanwhile, it cost you, the owner or the manufacturer, whoever it is that's selling this antenna, it's costing you time and money, because now you're paying for shipment back to you and then back to them, and then the time that you got to take to repair it, and then you got to box it all up. I mean, so just in that alone is costing you money. So that's not good business. So I sent him. I'll show you. If I can find a video with no audio, I'll throw some narration into it. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to put this through here. Now, how do I want to put it through? Do I want to go this way, or do I want to go off that way? Doesn't really make too much of a difference at this point. I think I'm going to go this way. And if I go right there with it, that's even better yet. Yeah, that's right where I'm going to go with it. So I bought a couple of new bits. I bought a pair, just two of them. They came 2 to a pack, same size, but it's a size that I use quite a bit. But it has the hex chuck on the end, so it doesn't slip inside the drill, which is nice. I didn't want to buy a bunch of them. One is they didn't have all the sizes that I normally would use. And I really didn't want to start spending money on something that I wasn't sure was going to do the job or not. Okay, that fits there. I just got to bring it over this way a little bit. A little bit. Oh, come on. Be a pain in the ass. You're gonna make me get the Dremel. I just gotta come down just a hair, for crying out loud. I want to make sure I got enough room. For the nut. The nut. No, not the one that's doing it. Almost. Oh, well, I could make it work, but no. There we go. what I'm doing